Mid-quest. What's something you did as a child you now have no idea how you did it? Rewatch the same movie 4 times a week for months and months. I read books quickly and often. This is very difficult now, and it makes me sad. My personal one is that my little sister had a bad speech impediment growing up as a child and no one, mother, older sister, speech therapist, etc., except me knew what she was saying. I was the only one she could have actual conversations with because I knew everything she was saying. I would often have to act as a translator so my mother could understand what she was saying. Now as an adult thinking back on it, it really baffles me. I guess I just knew her language. Being able to climb everything and anything. Removed my own speech impediment. I used to have an awful stutter and I couldn't get my point across in any context to anyone because I'd just stutter over every other word, so I had a whiteboard and pen I'd carry around to write what I wanted to say when it mattered. At about 11 years old, I don't know how, but I'd found a way around my speech impediment so that I only stutter once in a blue moon, though when it comes bad. And now thinking back, I cannot remember for the life of me what I did. I had a 4-point harness car seat, buckles between the legs with a child-proof safety lock. When I was 3 and I could get butt ass naked in that thing without unbuckling, like from fully dressed to no diaper, no nothing. Eat mostly junk food all day long and be bony as heck. For me it is how in the hell did I avoid breaking every bone in my body? I was 9 and helping my dad put up the Christmas lights and I fell off my 2nd-story roof and landed on the picnic table. My dad didn't even realize that I had fallen until I yelled back up to him, "I'm okay." He made me promise not to tell my mom. I never did. As an adult, all of my Christmas lights now are on the 1st floor only. I spoke Japanese, Spanish, and English. Now I only speak English. Japanese I spoke because of my babysitter, Spanish because of my paternal grandparents, and English because of my parents. Moved away from that babysitter, so the Japanese was gone due to lack of practice and the Spanish was lost because my grandparents' passing was the reason we moved. My father still speaks Spanish but was adamant that we speak English because we're in America, and my mother couldn't understand it. I loved pickles as a toddler and in fact still do to this day. I would get the fridge open, get into the fridge and grab the jar of pickles. Then with tiny weak hands I would somehow open the jar and retrieve my delicious salty prize. I'd eat about 3 or 4 of them. The big ones. Except not like how you would normally eat a pickle. I would somehow suck the entire center of the pickle out of the skin, leaving a trail of bloodless empty corpses like a spider from the forbidden forest. Here's the thing though, I tried doing this as an adult and couldn't even come close to being able to empty the pickle. Try explaining that to your girlfriend when she catches you trying to suck the inside of a pickle out. Fun times. I used to be able to go outside, listen for one, and then track down and catch crickets with my hands. Looking back on that amazes me. Can't believe I used to go outside. Not sure how I'm alive. I grew up when Jackass was cool and I thought I could get involved if I sent in enough cool videos. I jumped out of shopping carts over ledges of 5 feet, lit myself on fire with no safety material, jumped out of a moving car, etc. Never broke a bone. Having friends. Cleaned a hoarder's house all by myself. Everyone was shocked. I can't even clean my own room anymore. I can no longer make armpit fart noises because of my boobs. Being able to swim and swim underwater. Now I just walk in the pool. Not quite child but teen. When I worked for an amusement park. Dealing with this heat and humidity lately, I don't even want to walk outside. IDK how I managed to do 10-hour shifts some days. Multiple days in a row. The outfits weren't exactly breathable either. Lucid dream. It kinda would just happen by accident and was scary as hell at first. That is, until I realized I could change whatever I wanted in the dream. The closest thing I can relate that to is those videos of people doing art in VR, or playing a world building game. Total control. If you focus hard enough. I lost the ability to lucid dream after some witch lady invaded one of my dreams and said, I know what you've been doing and you need to stop. I felt like she was hinting that I was fucking around with something that had flow-on effects I couldn't comprehend. I also had sleep paralysis many times as a kid, though had no idea it had a name back then. I honestly thought it was a demon sitting on my chest. I don't think I've ever been so terrified. Imagine putting all of your might into screaming but not a whimper comes out. Imagine trying to lift your finger but it doesn't move at all. You can only move your eyes, which are still seeing the stuff in your dreams. Nightmares. I thankfully no longer deal with that. Brag about how smart I was due to high test scores. I have no idea how I equated the ability to fill in the correct bubble with intelligence, nor how I was so lacking in humility. Speak to people like it's nothing. I beat every single race and set every single course record on the hardest difficulty in Star Wars Episode I Racer for Nintendo 64. I recently tried to play the game for the first time in many years and could barely finish a race. I felt completely overwhelmed and just absolutely useless at the game, like I had never played it before. I'm convinced I must have had superhuman reflexes as a kid, honed from all the hours of endless gaming. A small part of me wants to dive back in and see if I could regain at least part of my abilities through intense practice, but the more rational adult part of me reminds me that I have to work to earn money to pay bills so that I can continue living. Life is very unfair. Got along with my siblings. After they started their teen years, they became fucking unbearable. They didn't give a shit about anyone except themselves. It was always me. Drove my mother crazy, and it got worse the older we got. I was the youngest and used them as examples for what not to do in life. Been pretty happy and moderately successful. Don't know about them because I have not spoken to them in years. Play football, soccer. I swear when I see the tapes from when I was a kid I don't believe it. I'm shit at it. RNXD. Ate a whole plastic bag piece by piece. It was a phase where I ate weird stuff like grass, paper, dog food, but a plastic bag dart. I fell off a chair onto a clean carpet and managed to have huge gash on my chin that the doctor had to deal with. It didn't even hurt. Put my toe in my mouth. Learning. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about school. I was a curious child. I remember willingly learning a lot of stuff, foreign languages, random trivia etc., and memorize them immediately. I was quite active in writing too, and I could write metaphoric, sophisticated stuff. Now, I'm just not interested in the world anymore. I don't explore as much as I did. I actually become less confident in my language that I have to search for the correct spelling for certain words. I finished a wide variety of the Legend of Zelda games. I barely understood English, and out of quests kinda rely on you actually understanding the information they provide. Replaying the games now when I'm older, there's a few places I've been stuck and actually had to look up a guide for how to get through. I distinctly remember breathing underwater on several occasions. I know it must be a false memory, but there it is. I distinctly remember moving shit without touching it, and for the life of me I can't figure out how I managed it. I did it a few weeks back by accident when Loose Dog was running at mine. I just stuck my hand out and it yipped and flew back a few feet before running off back home. I felt tired after, and now I still don't know what I did, just that I look like an idiot throwing my palm out trying to do it again. Play Tetris. I was able to do that bridge thing in gymnastics, and looking at it now makes my eyes hurt. I beat Sonic 2 when I was a kid, certainly not over 9. It was my first video game, so I decided to get my nostalgia boost and play recently. How the fuck did smaller me get through Death Egg? Got stuck under that 2-inch high metal bed frame and nearly lost an eye getting out. Not caring what people think. I was a lot happier back then.